welcome to another edition of the 49ers Rush podcast. I'm your host, as always, John Chapman, and we've done several mock drafts throughout this draft season, but we haven't done one full NFL round one mock draft, and so we're going to do that today, but we are going to include the first pick of every single NFL team. So I think there's 8 teams, I apologize, that do not have a first-round pick, and the 49ers are one of them. So Cleveland, Indianapolis, Chicago, 49ers, Denver, Las Vegas, Miami, and the Rams. We're going to get their first pick as well whenever they're up. So we're going to go through the entire first round relatively quickly, and then we're going to jump to those other teams. And again, this is my kind of one and only mock draft this year where I'm doing the full slated first round. There are no trades in this one. I didn't want to make it too complicated. So without further ado, let's jump into it. The Jacksonville Jaguars are a terrible franchise and have the wonderful privilege of picking first in back-to-back years. Last year, they took the quarterback. The next position of power in the power rankings is edge rusher. Now, I do think tackle could be a concern here, even though they, brought back both their players on one-year deals. Ikem Ekwonu is a dark horse, but I'm going to Aiden Hutchinson. Just too clean a prospect at such a powerful position. So I've got Aiden Hutchinson going number 1 to Jacksonville. Number 2, this is probably where the draft could get crazy. Malik Willis could be an option here. I just don't see it as much as I want it to happen, and I think it makes the most sense for Detroit. I think they're doing this slow build approach, and they have multiple firsts, moving forward, and so I think they're going to be okay. I have them going with, again, I think the second best player in this draft, Kayvon Thibodeau, Oregon defensive end. He was the clear-cut number 1 for the longest time, but then, questions about his, work ethic and if he loves football or not. All that stuff gets overblown a little too much. Kayvon Thibodeau is a hell of a player, and I have him going number 2 to the Detroit Lions, and they're going to love that pick. Number 3, the Houston Texans. This one I played around with a lot because, they need everything. There's not a position that could go wrong there, but one of the issues that I had was, okay, and this is a question that I ask a lot of times, who in this draft could be an all-pro player throughout their career? I don't think there's a lot of all-pro players. Obviously, there's going to be some. But whenever you're looking at these guys and you're trying to predict, okay, who could be the best at their position? I'm probably higher than most on this kid. I'm going cornerback, but not the cornerback most people think. I'm going Derek Stingley Jr., and I got him going number 3 to the Houston Texans, and I'm telling you right now, I'm the biggest Derek Stingley Jr. believer out there. I understand the injury concerns, but man, you saw him work out. I'm telling you, if you just look at who could be the best in the NFL at their position, you don't have to look past Derek Stingley Jr. I have him going 3. Number 4, the Jets, and this is kind of best case scenario for them. O-line, D-line are going to kind of be their picks that they want to go with if they don't trade out. I got them getting Ikem Ekwonu, offensive tackle, North Carolina State, one of the best run blockers in this class. This is kind of a match made in heaven for the Jets. I think they would be so excited for this pick. Next up, number 5, who the Giants are picking 5 and 7. They're sticking with this theme. They're going offensive tackle. They need help in the most serious way. Daniel Jones, it should be quarterback. They should go quarterback, but it's a weird franchise again. Evan Neal, offensive tackle out of Alabama. Pass pro, it's so clean. His body, unreal. The way in which he carries his weight at such a large size. I think that's a very, very good pick. Number 6, the Carolina Panthers. And for 49ers fans, this is by far one of the most captivating picks in the first round. Now, Ian Rappaport just put out there that they're not going to be trading for Baker Mayfield. And I don't think that they go quarterback here. Matt Rule is basically a lame duck coach. I think they go best player available, and you've got to build something to where whoever is quarterback can be successful. I have them going Charles Cross, which I don't really like Charles Cross very much, but he is a height, weight, length, metrics guy, which Rule will love, out of Mississippi State. And so, that's one. If you see this, you're going to see me celebrating if the Panthers don't go quarterback at 6, because that means Jimmy G is a very real possibility for them because they don't have a second or a third round pick. So it's quarterback in the first round or nothing. So I got Carolina Panthers going Charles Cross. Number 7, probably my favorite pick of this draft. The New York Giants, they got Evan Neal earlier in this draft. Now they get a stud edge rusher who's a top 5 player on my board, Jermaine Johnson, out of Florida State. Was at Georgia, transferred over. He's a hell of a player. I think this is a great pairing. And, man, if the Giants can come out of this with Evan Neal and Jermaine Johnson, solidify those trenches, that's where teams are built. That's where good things happen. Number 8, the Atlanta Falcons. I told everybody all last year they were a rebuilding team. They just didn't know it. They didn't go quarterback. They bring in Mariota. So many holes. Calvin Ridley's not there, whatever else. This is a rebuilding year if there ever was one. That's why I've got them going for a high upside quarterback. And my first quarterback off the board, I've got Malik Willis going to the Atlanta Falcons. You sit him for a year behind Mariota. And then once you get Calvin Ridley back and, try to build, he's a very raw quarterback. But if you're talking ceiling, Malik Willis is about as high as it gets. So I got him going number 8. Teams go for quarterbacks. And, if Malik Willis is there at 9 to Seattle, which he's not in this draft, I think they would take him as well. But now you have the Seattle Seahawks on the board at 9. And Malik Willis is off the board in this mock draft. I have them going cornerback, Ahmad Sauce Gardner, who I really, really like. I think he's a top 10 worthy pick, very clean prospect. My number 2 corner off the board. And I again, probably not what Seattle should do. They should go line or they should go quarterback, but they love defenders and Pete Carroll's still there. He can't help himself. At pick 10, the Jets, up with their second pick. They got Ike Mekwonu earlier, and now they're going D-line, offense D-line. If the Debo trade doesn't happen, then I think they sit here and they build in the trenches. I got them going Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. Now, a lot of people are going to say, wow, Trayvon Walker at 10. Yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch, especially somebody that's in consideration for the number 1 overall pick. I don't think that's where he'll go. But Trayvon Walker fell a little bit for me in this draft. The lack of production, all those things, but the traits are off the charts. I get that. I would not be shocked at all if Trayvon Walker goes top 3. If you wanted to swap him out for Derek Stingley at 3 to the Texans, yeah, I think that would make sense. But that's what I've got here. Now, so our top 10, real quick, let's go through that. Jacksonville Hutchinson, Detroit Thibodeau, Houston Stingley, New York Jets Ekwonu, New York Giants Neal, Carolina Panthers Cross, New York Giants Jermaine Johnson, Atlanta Malik Willis, Seattle Ahmad Gardner, and New York Jets Trayvon Walker. Now, before we jump into the rest of this mock draft, real quick word, man, for the actual draft, ooh, y'all got to come out. All right, the NFL draft is so close, baby. I'm so excited. And obviously, we're throwing the amazing downtown party in Las Vegas on the Strip with Fred Warner, Elijah Mitchell. And if you haven't got your tickets, go do that, 49ersrushroadtrip.com. But if you can't, and for some reason you can't make it to Vegas, guess what? We're bringing it to you. We're going to bring you the best day 1 and day 2 NFL coverage. We're going to have Fred Warner and Elijah Mitchell live on air during the NFL draft. And, again, if you're coming to the party and you got your tickets, you're going to get to meet and hang out with them. If not, you still have that opportunity because they're going to be live on air on this channel. So hit subscribe. Make sure you watch the draft with us days 1 and 2. And actually, if you have a question, you want to know what it's like for them to go through their draft process, you have questions about the 49ers team this year, go ahead and submit those to me through email, 49ersrushpodcast@gmail.com. We'll sift through those, and we'll ask both Fred Warner and Elijah Mitchell a lot of your leading questions live on air during the draft. So make sure you tune in. Hit that subscribe button. Join us for days 1 and day 2. 49ers-centric coverage with over 7 49ers content creators and 2 49ers live from the NFL draft. We've got you covered here on the 49ers Rush podcast. So go ahead and hit subscribe and join us days 1 and day 2 of the NFL draft. Also, I'll throw this up there on our YouTube feed. If you haven't yet, head over there. We've got days 1 and day 2 are live, what the video will be on. You can go set your notification reminder on that now. Set your reminder so that when we do go live, you join us, which we're going to be doing giveaways, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be crazy. So those are up on the YouTube channel now, days 1 and day 2's live feed, if you want to go subscribe to those. All right, back to our draft. Number 11, the Washington Commanders. I've got them getting my favorite wide receiver in this class, Jameson Williams. Now, his recovery from his ACL tear knocks him out of the top 10 in this, but He's coming along very, very well. Workout videos coming out, looks clean. I don't think he's going to be out till November. I think he could play as early as October, which is earlier than projected. Number 12, the Vikings. I've got them going defensive end / defensive tackle. They need some more interior pieces there for sure. George Karlaftis out of Purdue. He is a fun, big body defensive end edge / DT guy that can kind of do it all, play almost all 4 defensive line positions. And man, they need help up front for sure. Whenever the Vikings were successful, it's when their D-line's successful. And whenever it's bad, their team's bad as well. They've got a lot of offensive firepower, but you got to be able to stop teams for sure. Back on the clock at 13, the Houston Texans, who they went Derek Stingley earlier, and I said, you know what? Screw it. Let's stay in the secondary. One of the players that just continues to fall down my board, I think this is about where he'll go, Kyle Hamilton. Safety out of Notre Dame, back-to-back secondary picks. I'm not the biggest fan. I don't think that's really how you build, but you get this playmaker, this blue chip prospect, and whenever you're the Texans, man, you swing for the fences because, I mean, you've got to get something there. At pick 14, the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock, and I've got them going with the Georgia defensive prospect, which doesn't limit it very much, Devontae Wyatt. My favorite defensive tackle in this class that can kind of do it all. He just screams Baltimore to me. And, plug and play. You can put him anywhere you want on that defensive front. He's a hell of a player, and he's a Ravens player. Like, it just makes too much sense. Number 15, the Philadelphia Eagles with their first of 2 first-rounders this year. They got lots of needs, but they're a quality team. And I think, again, they can just sit. I love this 15 spot because you can just sit and just let somebody fall. And there's a corner on the board that is just very clean, plug and play, Trent McDuffie. I do not put him in the same category as Ahmad Gardner or Derek Stingley, but he is a first-round corner and a very clean prospect. So I have the Eagles going cornerback, Trent McDuffie out of Washington. At pick 16, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock. Now, they are a possible trade-up team. They're a possible trade-up team for sure, but they didn't have to in this draft. And yes, I have my second quarterback going off the board in the middle of the first round, but it's probably not the guy you're thinking. I have the Saints taking Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati. He is my quarterback too by a long shot. I have him way over Kenny Pickett, but there are quarterback needy teams, and I don't think Jameis Winston is the long-term answer. And athletic profiles and all those things, Ridder kind of has exactly what it is that they need long-term, and so you roll with Jameis Winston as long as he doesn't turn the ball over and hand the keys off to Desmond Ridder. There's not a long-term contract there for Jameis Winston. Also, I'll say this, I think that NFL teams want to do what the 49ers did to a certain degree with Jimmy Garoppolo, where, hey, you can draft a quarterback in the first round. That doesn't mean you have to play him right away. This idea, sit a project quarterback and then allow him to step in. I think that's what the Saints do at 16. Pick 17, the Los Angeles Chargers. This guy fell way too far in my draft, and I think he's going to go earlier than what I have him going here. I had a hard time slotting a spot for him. That's Trevor Penning. Offensive tackle out of Northern Iowa, just a mauler, mean dude. And again, the Chargers seem to get a player like this every year. Somebody that should go way higher, that falls for some reason, and is one of the best players in the draft. They draft so well, they just can't put it together on the field. Trevor Penning would help. Love the Chargers roster. This would be a perfect pairing and a dream situation for the Chargers. Now, Philly's back on the clock. They took Trent McDuffie, corner at 15. Now they're on the clock at 18. Hey, building on the outside. USC wide receiver Drake London coming off a broken ankle. He's got a little bit of an injury concern, hasn't tested, but he did work out, and he's just, why not? You've got a quarterback with accuracy issues. Keep building on the outside. And I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles, first-round wide receivers, Matt Millen would be proud 3 years in a row. Why not? New Orleans Saints back on the clock. They took Desmond Ridder with their first pick 16. I think offensive tackle is something that could go here, but I have them going wide receiver. Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Have him dropping a little bit, but man, he is a very, very clean prospect. Pair him up with Ritter. I think tackle again is a position that, I wish they would take, and I think that there's a strong chance they will. But, Trevor Penning, they took quarterback over that, and he didn't fall, so we'll see there. I wouldn't be shocked if they traded up, though. But they get Garrett Wilson. I don't think they'd be upset by that. Pittsburgh, up on the clock at pick 20. Not my first or second, but my third quarterback in this mock draft. And again, do I have a first-round grade on him? No, I do not. But they need quarterback help. Kenny Pickett, obviously Pitt Panther. He's got the small hand, or Pitt Panther, sorry, played at Pittsburgh. And I think that it's a good fit. I don't like it a lot, but I think they're the team most out of anybody that should take a quarterback and will take a quarterback. I don't like that it's Kenny Pickett. And I don't think that they want it to be Kenny Pickett either. But you sit there at 20, try to do the same thing that the New England Patriots did, where you just kind of sit pat. Whoever falls, you take it and you run with it. So the fan base, I think, would be elated. They love it. And you see what happens with Trubisky, but eventually Pickett would become the guy there. Pick number 21, the Patriots. I got them going captain of the defense. They like linebackers more than anybody. Devin Lloyd out of Utah, who is just such a fun watch. He's a hell of a player and just does so much positives. I think, let Belichick get his hands on him. Why not? That would be awesome. Pick number 22, the Green Bay Packers. Would they do it? They haven't taken a first-round wide receiver in a long time. I think this is one of the few exceptions that they would, and that's Ohio State wide receiver Chris Olave. Somebody that runs perfect routes, always going to be where he needs to be. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers will still be frustrated and make stupid faces on TV whenever Aaron Rodgers makes a mistake, but it won't be because of Chris Olave. Get him some help. Devontae Adams gone. He is not Devontae Adams, not even close. Their game's not even close to comparable. But he is a quality first-round wide receiver that will do well and step in, and week one will have an instant impact. Now, before we jump to the Cardinals pick at number 23, shout out to my baseball peeps. All right, guys, excited to tell you about the Giant Cocktails podcast. It's a weekly podcast where they cover the San Francisco Giants, which, man, we need that now more than ever. And these are two great dudes. Ben and Matthew, they're awesome. And they start every single episode where they make some unique type of cocktail. Then they go on these alcohol-fueled rants about baseball and all these things. So head over there. It's awesome. It's a very fun podcast. Really feels like you're just hanging out with, two really cool guys. And they go through everything. And, one of my favorite things about sports podcasts, maybe I'm not that good at this, is just the comedy and the camaraderie that they bring about this. So get caught up with the Giants while learning how to make great tasting cocktails. And I'm telling you this, it doesn't get better than this. If you haven't checked it out yet, head over there. Wherever you get your audio podcast, Giant Cocktails Podcast. Trust me, they're worth the effort. Go check it out. You're going to love it. And let them know the 49ers Rush podcast sent you. All right, back on the clock at pick 23. The Arizona Cardinals, we're now into the NFC West. They've got some major needs, and they draft really weird. Is there another safety linebacker prospect that they could play out of position? I don't think there is this draft, even though they might try to do it again. I have them going cornerback out of Florida, Kaiir Elam, who I think has a very strong possibility of sliding into the back end of the first round. And I think a lot of the teams, if they're here, want to trade back. I'm not doing trades in this mock, but I think a lot of teams are going to want to bounce out or bounce back. I just don't see that much of a need. I think once we get to this point in the draft, there's not really a big difference between pick 23 and pick 50. There's a lot of middle meat in this draft whenever you get to the back end of the first and early second round. Kaiir Elam, he fits a need. Very, very good corner. A little too grabby for me. He's going to have some penalties for sure, but I think he'd step in and start week one. Dallas Cowboys on the clock at 24, and they've got a lot of needs, but, man, they've got to be able to stop the run. Star power is always everything for Jerry Jones. I have them going Jordan Davis, Georgia defensive tackle, the mountain himself, and, I think this is about where he'll go. in the late 20s because he's going to be a 2-down player only and will play less than 50% of your defensive snaps every single game. But the talent is undeniable. The height, weight, speed, undeniable. He's a first-round player that will go there. Again, I would struggle selling that to my GM, though. This is somebody that's going to play 30 to 40 snaps a game. You're okay with that? All right. Well, then go get him. But he will make a very positive impact while he's there. Pick number 25, Buffalo Bills. A lot of people's dark horse to kind of win it all this year. Love their roster. Why not just continue building around your young quarterback? One of my draft crushes. I have the Buffalo Bills going wide receiver out of Arkansas, Treylon Burks. Yards after catch. Being elusive. Dude he just manhandles human beings. Love this kid. If the 49ers can find any way to get him, that would be perfect. But I got the Bills going Treylon Burks. Pick number 26. We got Sky Moore. Going to the Tennessee Titans. Man, why not? Julio's gone. You need somebody. Sky Moore is going in the first round, guys. I don't know how. I keep screaming this. Sky Moore is going in the first round. Yeah, he's a wide receiver out of Western Michigan, but just missed tackles galore. That's what he brings. That's exactly the kind of MO that the Tennessee Titans want. Sky Moore would be a perfect fit to step in there. Pick number 27, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost both their guards. And I think now we're getting into that sweet spot where, again, what is it that the Bucs want to do? They want plug and play. They're not looking to develop anybody. Their championship window is open. And how long are you going to have Tom Brady? So I have them going guard Zion Johnson out of Boston College. Just plug and play. Ali Marpet, yeah, he retired. Cool. Put him in there. Move on. Don't even worry about it. Just fix that offensive line for Tom Brady, and they'll be in the playoffs. Number 28, we have the Packers back on the clock. They took Chris Olave earlier at pick 22. Now here they are on the board at 28, and this player just screams Packers to me. And maybe I'm wrong. Defensive tackle out of Houston, Logan Hall. Whenever I watched this tape the first time, I was like, good gosh. Yeah, that's a Packers player if there ever was one. Pass rush can kind of do it all. Could be an edge, could be inside. Just a great D-line prospect with elite athleticism. Him and Rashawn Gary on the same D-line is going to be fun to watch. Pick number 29 and 30, we got back-to-back picks with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they traded Tyreek Hill to get this pick, which used to be the 49ers pick. This is where we would be, the 49ers, on the clock at pick 29 if we didn't trade up for Trey Lance. They've got to go wide receiver with one of these picks. I think it just has to happen. And they go get somebody that's not as elusive by any stretch of the means as Tyreek Hill, but they get the best hands in the draft and amazing routes. Johan Dotson, he is incredible. Wide receiver out of Penn State. He's a lot of fun at pick 29. And at pick 30, why not? These teams get to be spoiled. This is a player that should have went top 10, but he tore his Achilles. I have the Kansas City Chiefs taking Michigan edge player David Ojabo, who is so fun to watch and just barely tapped his potential as a player. He's got a lot of growth to go, but he doesn't have to. I mean, he's already great. So you have the Kansas City Chiefs sitting there with back-to-back picks, getting wide receiver Johan Dotson and David Ojabo, edge player. Now, before we jump, we still got, 2, 4, 6, 8. We still got 10 picks left because, again, we're covering everybody, even if they don't have a first rounder. So before we jump into them, real quick, with the draft coming up, guys, we're going to be putting out so much content over on Patreon. Hey guys, just wanted to take a second and kind of show you what Patreon looks like and what that is. Amazing app, and you can use it on your phone or whatever, but it's really whatever you want. Like if you're just one of those hardcore draft people, you can just click on the tab. We have 64 draft breakdown videos up already. And so you can just kind of scroll down and kind of look at the different positions. If you want corners, which I'm going through now, those are there, and the specific players that are there. Let's say you want Trey Lance, right? You want to go back through and you want to see what Trey Lance was like in college. I've got a bunch of Trey Lance video breakdowns where I go through just hours and hours. We have over 230 plus videos up currently. And so it's just this really easy way. The 49ers draft class. You want to see guys that we haven't seen this year. You want to go back and you want to watch some Aaron Banks. What was it that they saw in him? We didn't get to see him on the field in the regular season. Aaron Banks. You want Trey Sermon. All of the draft classes there. You want to look at opponents. You want to watch Rams games, right? You just type in Rams and, oops, did the wrong one. There we go. Got to clear that off. But like you can go back and you can watch all these old games that we have, and every single offense and defensive snap from the last 2 seasons, those are on there. Also, this is the best way to support the podcast. So you want to check that out. Head over there. All you got to do is just type in 49ers Patreon in Google. We're the very first one that pulls up, and it's the best way to support us. So go check it out and help this podcast grow. And if you don't like it, as always, you check it out. Not your cup of tea. 100% money back, guaranteed, no questions asked. Just say, sorry, didn't use it enough, whatever. Money back guaranteed, no issues. So go check it out. All right, back into the back end of the first round, but we still got 10 picks left. Pick 31, the Cincinnati Bengals. They came up just a little bit short, and the season almost got the title, which would have been crazy, but I have them going with one of my favorite players again. Once you get to this point, you're starting to ask yourself, like, man, what players definitely going in the first round? And this is just too clean a prospect. Daxton Hill, safety out of Michigan, do-it-all guy. I think that he just steps in right away and makes this defense better. You know, their entire MO is outscore everybody on offense, and if they can just hold serve on defense just a few times a game, they can win it all. So Daxton Hill, safety from Michigan, to the Bengals. And back on the clock, pick 32, the Detroit Lions. They got Kayvon Thibodeau earlier in this draft, who's just a stud edge player. And guess what? We're going to keep building on that D-line. They want to be a tough, bite your kneecaps type of team. Then I have the Detroit Lions going defensive tackle out of UConn, Travis Jones, who, again, just a hell of a player. Has not reached his potential yet, but you put him up there with Thibodeau, man, you're building a foundation on defense to dominate that whenever, you know, Aaron Rodgers finally does leave. That's the idea. And so Travis Jones, I think a trade could take place for a quarterback there, but, you know, I've already got 3 quarterbacks going in this draft. Maybe Matt Corral, maybe Sam Howell. Team comes up to grab them, but that's what I got there. Now let's jump to the teams that have been neglected. The teams that are aggressive and have traded away their first round picks. We've got a bunch of them. We still have 8 teams that do not have a first round pick. The next team we're going to talk about is the Chicago Bears at pick 39. So whenever I did this draft, I went all the way through. I don't want to go through all those details, so we're going to skip to pick 39. I have them going offensive tackle help out of Central Michigan. Bernard Raymond, who is another player that I could definitely see in the first round that fits exactly what it is they need to do. He's from up there, you know, in the Midwest. He'll be a plug-and-play guy. Try to get some protection, because if you watch Justin Fields, the concern before the draft, the concern even now after his rookie year, holds the ball too long, takes way too many hits. Get him some protection. Could go wide receiver there as well, but I think protection is more important for him at this current moment. Next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts at pick 42. I have them going edge, another one of my favorite players just with elite potential, Arnold Ebiketie. I think this is about where he will go in the 40s. It got a slow first step, but in crazy speed and crazy bend. Arnold Ebiketie is going to be valued by a lot of people. Those, you know, Penn State edge players, they just produce at the NFL level. It's really weird how consistent they are. So I have the Colts going Arnold Ebiketie. The Browns, they're up at pick 44. What do they do here, right? Because it's such a weird year. They have a roster to compete right now, but you also are not going to get your quarterback. He's going to be suspended for a while. I have them going with a high upside pick that they can pair with their quarterback for the long term. That's Christian Watson. Pick number 44, Christian Watson, wide receiver out of North Dakota State. The metrics are just mind-blowing, right? The height, speed, workout, all that stuff. Almost next to no production at a very low level, even though it's a run-heavy offense. Routes aren't good, drops aren't good, but man, the metrics are just off the charts. I think this is about where he'll go. Somebody will draft him for what he can become, not what he is. Next up, the 49ers, baby, at pick 61. And a lot of players are gone. I was really, really upset with again, because I was doing every single team how they should draft. And so all my favorite players almost were gone. But I love this pick. Whether the 49ers trade Debo or don't, and I have the 49ers keeping Debo in this mock draft. I did not trade him. Wide receiver is still a pressing need. So is edge. The edge guys that I liked were gone. Interior offensive line. I decided to wait and hold off on that. I'm going wide receiver out of South Alabama. Jalen Tolbert. Another guy that can play all over the place. Big. Gets off the line, vertical threat. Go get somebody, a target that Trey Lance can throw deep to. Jalen Tolbert for the 49ers out of South Alabama, wide receiver. The more I watch him, the more I like him. And he just keeps growing on me, And when you watch him, you could just say, man, if Kyle can get his hands on this guy, I think he'd like it a lot. I think we could see something really, really nice with him and Trey Lance for years to come. Denver Broncos on the clock at pick 64. Obviously, they traded almost everything away to the Seattle Seahawks. And so at pick 64, I've got them going linebacker. You address the captain of your offense. Now address the captain of your defense. Chad Moma, what's up? Stud linebacker. I just think he would be able to plug right in, start, control that defense. And you're going to need something because that NFC or AFC West is just a nightmare of quarterbacks. I mean, it's just going to be a mess. Las Vegas Raiders, another team that has been very active in the trade market, on the clock at 86. They need interior offensive line help. Now, the Raiders are probably one of the worst O-line evaluation teams, but they got a new coaching staff. And McDaniels, he knows interior offensive linemen. I have them going Cole Strange, who I really, really like. I think he plugs in and just starts day one for them, solidifying that offensive line. Because, again, whenever I'm looking at the Raiders, what is going to stop them from being successful? And that's pass protection. You got to get some better pass protection because they've been really, really bad. Miami on the clock with pick 102. Their first pick is at 102. I have them going center. Luke Fortner, interior offensive line. He can kind of play. Center is going to be the spot where he goes. But again, if you look at Mike McDaniel, his entire thing, they value the center position. Luke Fortner would be a great get at 102. And for the last pick in this mock draft, the Rams at pick 104. God, they got to wait a while till they pick. They traded their second and third round for the, 7-game rental of Von Miller, but they got their Super Bowl. So I don't think they're upset about that, even though he left. So that's kind of where that is. But I have them going edge here. At pick 104 out of Miami of Ohio, Dominique Robinson, which I have a hard time seeing him fall that far, but he is a fun prospect. And again, nobody's Von Miller. I think we all know that. However, he is a guy that could step in and help right away. And the Rams have found guys, in this range that become starters rather consistently. So now I hope you guys really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. It's pretty fun to step out of your 49ers bubble and pay attention to all the other ones. Let me know how we did, which picks you hated, which picks you liked, what you would have done differently. Throw that in the comments section. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Man, I'm so excited for the draft this week. It's so close. Anyway, appreciate it. And as always, stay strong, faithful.